Good day, folks. This video is about pennies or cents or coppers, if you will. This is a British penny from 1967. This is the last year that Britain made the large penny. In 1971, they moved to a decimal system, and the penny now is much smaller. Although they're still minting pennies in England, and since 1992 they're not copper anymore. They're steel with a copper coating, but they are still being minted apparently. However, in the United States, they're talking about doing away with minting the penny, and Canada, of course, give up minting pennies in 2012. So there haven't been any pennies circulating in Canada since 2012, although Canadian pennies apparently are still circulating in the United States because they're the same size. They're no longer made out of course, 100% copper, and they haven't been made out of 100% copper since 1859. 1860, they started making them out of alloys of mostly copper, 95 to 98% depending, and of course alloyed in with a bit of zinc and tin. The United States used to have a big penny too, and they gave up making theirs in the 1850s and then went over to a smaller cent. Now in Canada used to have a large cent, and this one here is from 1920. I want to thank Scott in Ontario for helping me source these coins. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Scott. But this large coin was how the Canadian pennies were in 1920. Fairly large coin, something like 25 millimeters in diameter. And then in May of 1920, Parliament passed an act in the middle of May 1920 that they weren't going to make large pennies anymore. They were going to make a small penny like they did in the United States. So what happened then is they made a small penny in the same year, 1920. So you can get two sizes of Canadian penny for 1920. Halfway through the year, they changed the size of the penny because, of course, like all changes in pennies, is because of the cost of the copper. The cost of copper makes the penny, make them cut down first. Well, before the penny was gone altogether, they made it out of zinc with a copper coating and then steel with a copper coating here in Canada. In the United States in 1982, they was last of their coppers, and they started making them out of zinc with a copper coating as well. But here in 1920 in Canada, the two pennies for the same year, there was a snap decision. You know, even in England, they waited a few years before they got the small penny out, and in Canada, they couldn't wait till the next year, apparently. The cost of copper and the scarcity. And, of course, in 1920, it was just after World War I. So, you know, countries were broke. A lot of money was gone into munitions and fighting the war and so on and so forth. So they kind of had to save money, I guess, wherever they could, and to make it more compatible with the United States penny, which is the small size pretty much. So they made it same, about 19 millimeters roughly. So a tale of 2 cents or 2 pennies or 2 coppers, whatever you want to call them. They called them coppers years ago because they were, of course, mostly made of copper. And there was a story that they used to take these large coppers, and I think this story may have come from England actually. They used to take these large coppers and put over the eyes of deceased people, because some people died with their eyes open and their eyes wouldn't close. So they used to lay these coppers on people's eyes when they were dead, on the corpse. And there was a saying arose from nasty people, of course, and unscrupulous people, like a saying would be here in Newfoundland. They would say, "That fellow is such a sleeveen, he'd rob the coppers off your eyes." So there you go. You may or may not have heard that before. Newfoundlanders will know what I'm talking about. And the obverse was still the same. King George, King George V, they kind of had to shrink him down a little bit to make him fit on such a smaller penny, but there you go, 1920, A Tale of 2 Cents. Thanks for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed this little look back in a brief history of coppers and pennies and cents and whatever you want to call it. Take care. Bye-bye.